What usually causes people to regret going too cheap when it comes to getting solar and batteries? So, there's a few talking points here, but I don't want to bore you to death. So, I guess the first thing would be to ask a question in return, which would be, have you ever heard the term false economy? Yeah, because it's a lot like that with getting cheaper batteries compared to ones that are more reliable, where the manufacturers have been around for longer. The manufacturer is more bankable and well established, um, has a better financial backing, and where the you have better warranty protection from a local company with a local supplier and a local manufacturer compared to just one company that just imports everything. So the biggest regrets would be, just to be short to long story short, would be underperforming systems that are really saving less over time. Another would be they only got solar, not the battery, and so it hasn't eliminated their bill. Um, Another would be just related to underperforming systems, but it would be they're unreliable, so they go faulty over time, and when they develop a fault, it's not working properly. It's not working at all, and so they're not getting the savings on their electricity bills, and so they have to rent it from the power lines, and they end up spending for the rate hikes until they get the system replaced. So, and then when they get the system replaced, they are they can make the same mistake by getting another cheap battery, which ends up costing them more over the long run. Again, it's a false economy, or they end up spending more on getting a reliable battery. So they end up saving. They might end up saving a little bit in the short term, but it ends up costing them more in the long term because they get less savings after the system fails. Okay, and then once the system fails, they end up having to spend more to get a new one because they can't just get it. Typically, they can't just get it repaired because one, the company that installs it often goes out of business. There's been 700 solar companies that went out of business between 2011 and 2019. So when the company goes out of business, they can't. It's that warranty protection from the installer is gone, and even though there's a warranty from the manufacturer, if the manufacturer doesn't have a local office, if the installer imported the gear, then they become the manufacturer under Australian consumer law. Okay, and so if the company, if that's the case, if the company is the installer is the one that's importing the products, then you only have one level of warranty protection. So once the installer goes out of business, that warranty is kaput. So you have to, these people, they get cheap system, they end up having to spend more to get it replaced. Okay, and even if it's just the company, the installer went out of business, but let's say the company still has a local office, or the supplier has a local office, then yeah, the supplier is a second level of warranty protection. The manufacturer is the third. Okay, so let's say the installer goes out of business, then they'd have to go to the supplier to get the warranty coverage. So the supplier is hypothetically supposed to provide, to honor the warranty and provide the equipment, so they can provide the equipment to get it replaced. But what happens? They still have to charge for the labor for the installation to get it fixed. And what happens is it can be hard to find a company that's willing to replace just a part of a system. Let's say the battery has failed, but the panels are still working. They can't just replace the battery under warranty, because if another company has to replace the battery, they don't want to take on liability for replacing the battery and connecting up the new battery to existing panels that have been installed by someone else. So they don't want to take on liability for that. What that means is it ends up costing them more in terms of labor, and they might have to replace the whole system because they can't just replace the battery. Okay, so that's a couple of issues. Yeah, I could keep talking a lot more. There'd be more to talk about that I haven't mentioned, but those are typically the common issues. Oh, others would be, yeah, it takes too longer to get installed, so they end up spending more. They put down a deposit, but they're like stressing out, like they're like, have I wasted my money because it's taking such a long time to get installed? So they end up chasing the company, asking them how long it's going to get installed. But the company, because they have so few resources to support existing customers, they're just trying to bring in new business with low overheads. What happens is they often don't even answer the phone because they haven't provided that level of resources with what they're charging to cover those normal expenses of running a business. So they're cutting back, and often, like, the company might even have like an offshore call center, and so it's easy for them just to end the business and start another one on another brand with the same call center overseas. So it's yeah, a lot of people say it's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, you pay cheap, you pay twice. So the biggest regrets would be just less savings over the long term with a false economy. More issues can be damage to the property with roof leaks, with companies that are just cutting corners with subcontractors that just doing rush jobs to get it done as quickly as possible, then on to the next one, rather than focusing on quality to ensure long-term customer satisfaction, which is what we do. Okay, so yeah, I could keep going, but that's just some of the key points. I hope that's been helpful. You can find a lot more information about, the bigger threats people have. The encyclopedia of information about it that you can find online. So I'll stop there. All right, take care.